Welcome to the Global Outlook for Wipes podcast, brought to you by Smithers Pyra. The Go Wipes conference is the only event in Europe dedicated to wipes built through research conducted directly with the industry. It explores the latest in science, technology, business and EU regulations. Go Wipes is made for the industry, by the industry, offering professionals from across the full wipes value chain the opportunity to gain insights into the issues that affect their market today.
The first presentation here is going to be from Abby Bailey. Abby's the Marketing Communications Director for EDANA, and she's been involved in corporate communications for several companies, including Federal Express, etc., over the last few years. And she's going to be talking to us about something that's near and dear to my heart: flushability, dispersibility, and product stewardship. Abby.
So there's a lot that we can talk about flushability, and I know certainly for anyone who's been based in the UK, you've been seeing quite a bit in the print, on television, and if you've been keeping your eyes open on your packs as well, you're going to be seeing a little bit of a change to how your packs in the supermarkets work. Now, if you give me just a second, I'm just going to set my own little timer to remind myself when I actually have to finish by, because we've got quite a few speakers up here today. And I know you all want to be hearing from all of them. So, what I'm going to be talking about today is something that you may not really expect. Flushability and why it's best when we work together. If you have been seeing some of the stories in the media, you'd think that wipes and water don't like each other very much. Nothing could be further than the truth. We love the water industry. We recognise that the water industry, not only professionals doing an essential job, but they're also managing a network that is essential to our public health. So, with that being said, let's get started. So, for those of you who may not have been maybe keeping an eye so closely on this in past, or maybe new entrants to the flushability issue, why is this an issue? Why is all of a sudden this topic in the news? Why are people talking about it? Why are you being told either to do something or not to do something? And I'm going to start with probably one of the most recognisable stories relating to flushability that's been in the past couple of years. And it was here in the UK. And it's the dreaded fatberg. The fatberg was found under the London streets. It was around about the size and weight of a double-decker bus. That is an enormous thing to be found in the sewers and should never be there in the first place. So this came up in August 2013. But what I think is really important to note is that the fatberg is made up of a lot of things. And as you can probably tell by the very descriptive name of it, a lot of fat. But it included other stuff as well, stuff that should never be down in the sewers in the first place. But this isn't just a problem in the UK. Even as far as Australia, you can see how similar habits and practices by consumers putting things down the toilet is creating the same effect. Now, you might not be able to see, but that small truck there actually isn't all that small. That's one of the service vehicles for the Newcastle Water Treatment Agency. And so it's quite a large blockage that they pulled out from underneath the streets of Newcastle. Once again, a blockage made up of things that should never be down there in the first place. This is slightly more recent. This is from April 2016. So when we look at the things that come out of the sewers, what's actually in them? Looking from the studies conducted by two international water companies from both New York and Berlin, we know that anywhere between 98 to 100% are stuff that should not be down there in the first place. And I'm talking about things like, yes, baby wipes, cosmetic wipes, household cleaning wipes, but also paper towel, condoms, right socks, sometimes your left sock, fats, oils and grease, and other things that should never, ever, ever go anywhere near a toilet. This is an infographic that represents the New York study that was conducted, I believe it was February of this year, or January of this year, January 10th. And it shows that, well, 47% of the blockage was non-flushable paper. That's a huge amount. 18% non-flushable baby wipes, 13% non-flushable feminine hygiene products, 14% non-flushable household wipes, but still 8% flushable wipes. So there's an element in there that the flushable wipes aren't being allowed passage through, but a huge, huge amount of things that should never be down there in the first place. And similar to what your doctor or your cardiologist may tell you, once you start getting a blockage in your artery, nothing gets through, even if it's supposed to be there. Apologies for the quality of the graph. This is all I've been able to get so far. And this represents the study done in Berlin in February of this year. Once again, a similar kind of result: paper hand towels, feminine hygiene products, personal hygiene wipes. Flushable isn't counted, it wasn't seen in here at all. And then some level of other, and that's where you get things like Barbie heads and the condoms and the All Right sock. So what we're seeing of studies that have taken place this year are things that are coming out of blockages just shouldn't be down there. And we're putting a huge amount of stress on these public sewer networks, things that are essential to our health and essential to the delivery and removal of water from our homes and our business places. In terms of a lesson for our joint industries, what we know is that the toilet is being used as a rubbish bin. Now, we believe it's being used as a rubbish bin because of a lack of understanding, not because of a lack of care. And we all need to keep up efforts to educate. The more people that hear the message about respect for our toilets and proper disposal of products, the better we'll be. And that's the responsibility for all of us. It's not just for the water companies to do, it's not just for the wipes industry to do, and it's not just for the retailers to do or governments to do. We all need to play a part in getting that message to the consumer, in helping them to properly dispose of their products. So, where are we today? We're going to have the water representatives coming in afterwards, and while I would say that there's more that we agree on than we disagree. We're not fully aligned yet, but there's a number of places that we're working together that are getting us to a common understanding and a common agreement of what is flushable. But the global environment today and some of the challenges that we face is that in terms of the mind of the public, there's really no understanding of why some wipes are okay to flush and some wipes aren't. And I'm talking here from a wipes industry representative point of view. A wipe is a wipe is a wipe, except when it's not. They all kind of are square, whitish, moistened with something, and they're used to do a job. But why some wipes are okay to flush and some wipes aren't, there's almost no public perception of why that is. We know that wastewater treatment plants are facing real problems as a result of non-flushables, and also as a result of fats, oils and greases and other items in the network. And we, as a responsible industry, need to play our role to help address the challenges that they're facing. And finally, we know that from a consumer point of view, there's a habit and practice to use a moist wipe in the bathroom without the following habit of proper product selection and disposal. So when somebody thinks that when they're walking down the aisles of their local supermarket, be it here in the UK, somewhere in Germany, in the States, somewhere in Asia or in Australia, walking down the lines and seeing two products, one says flushable, one says a baby wipe, there's no comprehension that, first of all, the two materials are very different, that they will interact differently in the sewer network, and why there should be a different disposal practice. Now, coming up next, you're going to hear from the water companies, and we're in a little bit of a state of flux. Now, this is where I'm going to step away from the presentation for about 2 minutes. because we've all been working together at ISO. We've also been working together from an International Water Organisation point from GD4 working group, which stands for the Guidelines Document 4. But as of Friday, there's been a slight wrinkle, I think is probably the best way to put it, in the ISO group. The working group that had us all joined together, working together and working on finding a common definition of flushability and the tests that address that, has been ceased. Now, what that means for us working together, we're not 100% sure yet. This is a very, very recent decision. What we do know so far, and certainly you'll hear this from the water operators themselves, you're hearing it from from EDANA as the wipes industry representative, we want to work together. Now, we don't know exactly what that forum's going to be. We don't know exactly how we come together, but there is a very real desire from both of our industries to keep working together to find that common definition of flushability and the scientific test methods that allow us to responsibly test our products regardless of market or regardless of location. So it's kind of unnecessary now for me to cover this slide. We did have a position following the call from the international water industry, where there was a call to mark every single pack as do not flush. Now, we as an industry representing the wipes industry, we don't actually agree with this position. We agree that there needs to be better education and those wipes that aren't designed to go down the toilet should be better understood and better communicated. But making all wipes flushable, we don't actually think will help the problem. Rather, we want to focus on helping the consumer know how to properly dispose of their product. Now, in order to do this, we're working on two fronts. Continuing to invest in the innovation of the material that goes to make up the wipe itself, and investing in educational activities that help the consumer to understand how to properly and responsibly dispose of their products. So when I talk about this investment in materials and education, I'm talking about a dual channel approach. On the one hand, you've got testing, and on the other hand, you've got the education. And I don't think, well, we as an industry, we don't think that one can exist without the other. You need to have a solid and scientific technical basis from which to operate as an industry, as an organisation, and to have that common agreement between both the water and the wipes industries, balanced with education to help the consumer know what to do. Because after all, we can have the best test methods in the world, we can agree and align 100%, but if the consumer doesn't know how to properly dispose of their product, then we're still going to continue facing this same problem. I do have a slide here updating on the ISO project. I think I'll have to skip that when it comes to it. But for those of you who maybe are new entrants to the industry or who haven't been working with us for an extended period of time, or who maybe are new entrants into the wipes business, EDANA and our partner organisation, INDA in the US, have been working on this topic for around about 10 years. It's certainly not something that's new to us. The first flushability guidance document was published in 2008. That was quickly followed up by the second edition, which was in 2009. And this 2009 edition included the first time a symbol was introduced. The third edition, which is the current edition in the market, aligned both the European, well, what was the European and the US-based symbols into one global symbol. So we had one global guidance document and one global symbol, meaning that regardless of where your company exists, regardless of where your manufacturing base is, and regardless of where you put your products into the market, you now have one single pan-regional guide to follow. This third edition was published in August 2013. It certainly did simplify the test. I think it went down from 226 pages down to about 21. The language was clarified. It made it so that me as a communications person who doesn't have a technical bone in her body could read it and understand it and actually appreciate what it meant and what it was trying to do. But we haven't rested. We have been working on the 4th edition of the guideline document, and I'll come to that in a moment. So the 4th edition of the guidelines document, it's continuing this path of aiming to better reflect real-world conditions. It focuses on 2 tests, the first of which is the slosh box test, and also then the municipal pump test. And I've got the test numbers there if you already work with it. It is a collaborative effort. We're working together with our American partners, but we're also working with international water organisations, associations, and of course the non-wovens industry. We've been working together on this since about January 2015. It's been already quite a long period. And while it is similar to the work that's been undergoing at the ISO, it's not as global, something that obviously we're keen to work on, but it dovetails into the work that's been done at the ISO fora. Now, ISO, as I mentioned, this group has been ceased. What that actually means for us, we don't yet know. But I will repeat, and I do want to particularly underscore that there is a keen desire from both wipes, and I understand from the water industry, the guys are going to talk about it once I'm off the stage, that we do want to find a forum to work together, to find this common definition of flushability and robust scientific test methods to back that up. So alongside the testing, which we've just covered, there's the educational side. So labelling and consumer education. Now, I'm sure you all know of the Do Not Flush logo. You'll have to excuse me, this was so this is from Sainsbury's. This is Sainsbury's baby wipes. This was the closest supermarket I could find last night to my hotel that was open. So you all know the Do Not Flush logo that's on the back of the pack, together with all of the other product information. So if you're looking to see any allergen information, if you're looking to see how long the product should be open for, the product is here on the back. But we as an industry working together, we know that we can do better to help the consumer better dispose of their products. Now, this is a move that from the manufacturers of wet wipes, from the retailers, from the distributors, have all been 100% behind us. And this has been fantastic to see. So I'm still calling this proposed. It's not publicly available yet, although I know a number of you here in the room have been actively working on it. And I know that I've had conversations with a couple of others of you in the room from either the water industry or retailers to give people a heads up of what's coming and what it will mean for their businesses. So the scope changes for the labelling code of practice in 2 ways. It gets closer and makes it consistent with the 2012 UCWIR report. So once again, making it as simple and aligned as possible. And importantly, regardless of whether a baby wipe can pass the flushable guidelines or not, baby wipes should not be marketed as flushable. Now, the question of why we're doing this. We know that baby wipes are, from the studies that we've seen so far, are in the largest presence in blockage assessments that we've seen. They're a commodity item, and they're therefore most likely to be misused by people. I tend to do a lot of anecdotal questioning with friends, with colleagues, with sometimes people I see in the supermarket aisles, which makes me, I'm sure I'm on a watch list somewhere. Of asking people, do they use wipes? How do they use them? And what do they use them for? And I love people's responses to some of the things. Now, baby wipes, particularly with young families, but the baby's bottom comes up as probably 80% of the reason for their use. Getting dust bunnies out from under the couch, that was one of my favourite ones. But my favourite one of all time was a very gruff, very masculine, very tall, looked like a bouncer man who said, "I love baby wipes. They buff your car interior perfectly." So we know wipes are being used for purposes other than they're designed for. So how do we make sure that the information is as clear as possible? And so as an industry, we're uniting and making sure that baby wipes, given that we know that they're probably the most likely one to be used in a range of situations and therefore potentially likely to be misdisposed of, making sure that it's clear that they do not flush. So the decision tree, which tells you, what is your product, how is it going to be used, therefore how should it be labelled, this has all been updated and reflects the new position. It also, for ease of people who maybe aren't as quite involved in the wipes industry, it includes a lot of examples. So if your wipe has been designed to be used in the bathroom, is likely to be contaminated with blood, urine or faeces, if it's likely to be used in a bathroom setting and it is likely to be flushed down the toilet, then what are the types of categories of wipes that we're talking about? Similarly, for those where a symbol is discretionary, also showing those categories of wipes, helping people to understand and to properly label their products. Most importantly, coming up for all of this is the symbol location has also been altered. And this is one of the big things. This is something that I personally think is going to make a real change in how we help the consumer do the right thing when they're in the bathroom. So if a product is required to be labelled "do not flush," the symbol needs to be put near the point of extraction. Now, when we talk about the point of extraction, that means that for any wipes product, where you take the wipe out of the pack, there needs to be the symbol. And I'd like to pay particular thanks to not only Sainsbury's, who already have a label on their pack, but a lot of the other retailers that we've been talking with who have already said, I don't care whether you've launched this code officially yet or not, we're doing what we can to start putting this into practice. And it's been an absolutely fantastic result from the retailers because they also recognise that in order to properly educate their customers ensures that they have a good relationship with their customers as well. And at the back of their mind, it's not, well, my Acme brand baby wipe caused a blockage in my toilets. So it's good for everyone that we properly label. Obviously, the do not flush symbol also needs to be prominently visible on the on-shelf packaging. For baby wipes, the do not flush symbol needs to be placed on the front of the on-shelf packaging, meaning that when the person who's going to make the purchase is walking through the supermarket, looking at packs on the shelves, it needs to be immediately clear to them whether this is a flushable product or not. We've also built out the directions given on the size of the symbol on packs, and also a comment about embossed symbols, because we are seeing more and more packs that have these hard pop tops, of which people are interested to put an embossed symbol either on the outside or the inside, and so helping people to standardise what they're doing, which makes our education to the consumer and telling them what they need to look for so much easier. So consumer education and involvement is obviously a big thing. This is what's going to be critical to contributing to a change in behaviour at that point in disposal. So when a person is in the bathroom undergoing their toileting habits and practices, they've used a wipe, and then the important decision comes. What do I do with it now? Now, does it go in the toilet? Has it been designed for that? Is it designed to fall apart easily? Or is it one of these wipes that is designed to be strong to do the job that it needs to do and therefore should never, ever, I'll say it again, ever go anywhere near a toilet? Now, there was a group called the Unflushables. I still think it's the best name of a group that I've ever been involved with. I still think we should get T-shirts made up, maybe with little capes on the back. That group has... that group hasn't formally been active for quite some time, but as an industry association, we recognise the importance of what it was doing. It got together water, retailers, the wipes industry and NGOs, working together for a common agreement of how we can educate the public. And as I said, while the group isn't active at the moment, as an industry association, we've decided to continue working by the agreement was set so that as much as possible, we're producing a common message to the consumer. So some of you may have seen this already. I'm particularly pleased with it. So I am going to use this opportunity to show you again our very simple, quite straightforward little wipes animation.
There are some things that you can wipe and some things that you can't. And there are some things that you can flush and some things that you can't. Knowing which is which can sometimes be confusing, but there is a symbol on the packet to help you. Aha! So, please don't flush baby wipes, face wipes, or household cleaning wipes. Because when you do, they can cause all sorts of problems. For you, for your neighbours, for the people who bring you the water you need, and for everybody who hates getting held up when they have to dig holes in the road. Wipes are made to be strong, you see, so they clean things properly without breaking. But when you flush them, they can mix with other things that shouldn't be down there either, like fats and oils. So they get stronger and pipes and pumps get blocked. And that costs money to fix. Big money. Which either means a costly visit from a plumber or ends up on your water bill. So when you use a wipe, look on the packet and dispose of your wipes properly. Thank you.
I would like to make it clear that this is available in English, French, German, Dutch and Spanish. It's able to be embedded in your website, so if you'd like to put that up there to help educate your consumers and your vendors and your business partners, please do feel free to. If you'd like any help in doing that, just shoot me a note. I'm going to move fairly quickly on from here. So the key question is, what can we do to de-confuse the consumer? If they're confused today, how do we address that? Well, we do need to focus on education. We need to make labelling as clear as possible, and we need to continue the work that we're doing together with water, wipes, and other industry experts to find that common definition of flushability. Now, like I said, ISO, we'll work out what's going on there. The most important thing to do is to make sure that we come together as joint industries. And as an industry, as a wipes industry, we need to ensure that we're continuing investment in new flushable wipe substrates, that we continue to make our product the best that it can be, get that onto shelves and get that into consumers' homes, so when they make a choice to use a flushable wipe, we're doing our very best to protect the public sewer network. So you'll hear a little bit more from water coming up. You've heard already about the Belgian regulation. You've heard what we're doing about education, and you've also heard of our intention to continue the work that we're doing in coming together as industries. Today and tomorrow are going to be quite busy days for a lot of you, I'm sure. If you want help in the future, give me a shout. I have a colleague at EDANA called Marinus Lagmart. He's our technical advisor. And Marianne here in the room as well. She can answer any regulatory questions. We're here for you however you need it. If you're not a member company, that's okay too. We'll still talk to you. There's also our website, which includes a lot of information for not only the media, for customers, but also for manufacturers and retailers as well. Should you need it, that's there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to throw in my two penneth as well. In '99, I was asked to develop the first substrate for Kimberly-Clark to do this. And one of the keys is, yes, we're in the non-wovens industry, but the paper industry has an issue too, because way too many people flush facial tissue, which has lots of wet strength resin in it, and it doesn't disintegrate. So what I looked at, and back then Mr. Santaleri over there was involved as well, we were looking at trying to make a product that dispersed no worse than bath tissue, which has no wet strength resin in it. And we kind of got to that point, but then we found that the water's not the same around the world, so we had to adjust it slightly. So it's not quite that good, at least the one KC came up with, but it does work. And, a lot of this, you can blame me, because I was one of the inventors of the original stuff, but these are all great products, and we need to do the best we can to work with the water treatment folks to make it work.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Go Wipes podcast. Check out the rest of the series for more information about this year's conference. If you'd like to register for next year's conference, go to www.go-wipes.com to register for Go Wipes 2017. Thanks again.